Welcome to week 3. This week, we're going to be focusing on podcasting. So, there's a couple things that are going to be really important. You do not want to wait until the last minute to start thinking about this project. You want to make sure you're jumping ahead, looking at the project, because you are going to need to interview someone for this project. So, again, don't wait until Sunday to look at it and start thinking about it. You want to start on this project earlier on in the week, at least kind of establishing who you're going to interview, what kind of questions you're going to ask, and then really scheduling that time to record so you're not waiting down to the last minute to really get your podcast complete. So, for reading, it does look like a lot, but these chapters are pretty quick and easy to read. You've got a couple chapters here from a podcasting tool book. These are the main chapters you need to focus on because that's really what's going to help get you through the interview of your podcast. But I did include the full textbook if you want to just look over it. Some people have really gotten into podcasting after this assignment. So, just a little additional guidance, but the chapters up here are what you're focusing on for the week. Before I hop into the assignment, I do want to go to the bottom and cover reading check 3, same as it's been, open note, open book, 2 attempts. The higher of the 2 scores is what's going to be recorded. There is some additional reading here just about podcasting, not required to read. And then you've also got how to use Podbean. So Podbean is the host website that I would prefer you to use just because it makes grading a lot faster if I could just click on your link and play versus having to download your audio file because sometimes Blackboard will not let me directly click on your audio and it takes a really long time to download. So Podbean is the preferred website host that we will use for this project. This is the link to get directly to Podbean for uploading. And then I do have a student example here for you. So if you want to hear something that a student has done in one of my past classes, it just kind of gives you a general idea of what your podcast will sound like. So, hopping into the assignment. You're going to plan, record, edit, and post your own original interview style podcast. So you can interview anybody that you want, and you can interview them over any topic that you would like. A couple of things that are going to be important and where people tend to lose points. You need to have a 1 minute introduction. This is your time to pull the audience in, make them want to listen to your podcast. This is where you're going to be introducing your subject. You're going to be introducing your interviewee, all this great stuff. So then you're going to have your interview. Total podcast should be 10 to 15 minutes. So a 1 minute intro, you do have a 1 minute conclusion. That's going to bring you to around an 8 minute interview. It's totally fine if you're more than that, but at least an 8 minute interview. So I already mentioned the 1 minute conclusion. That conclusion time, 1 minute long, and that's your time to wrap up the conversation, highlight the most important aspects of that conversation. This should be you giving the conclusion, not the interviewee. Some things that are really important is just making sure that you are keeping the focus on the interviewee, but you're having a conversation. It shouldn't just be question, answer, question, answer. You want to kind of work in your own thoughts and ideas. So maybe you're interviewing your best friend about why they chose their major. And they say, I just felt really passionate about this because XYZ. And you can say, that's how I decided on my major as well. I knew this is what I wanted to be for the rest of my life. Whatever you want to have a little bit of a natural flow. That's going to be really important. I do encourage students in this assignment to interview friends, parents, grandparents. Some of the best interviews I've heard have been things where students have interviewed parents and grandparents and they talk about something, and then the student says, oh, I actually never knew that about you. That's actually really interesting. So it's kind of cool because you get to know a little bit more about the people in your life that you maybe never thought to ask them about. So this can be a really, really fun assignment. The timing, 10 to 15 minutes. I do ask that you keep it within that 15 minutes. I have had students submit 20, 30-minute podcast, but there are multiple people that I am grading. So this is the one assignment that takes me the longest to grade because it is 10 to 15 minutes when you're averaging 24 students per class, and there's three sections in this first 8 weeks. That is something to keep in mind. So you do want to try to keep it within that 10 minutes or that 10 to 15 minutes, I'm sorry. But you do have to hit at least 10 minutes of speaking time. So if you decide to play 30 seconds of music at the beginning and 30 seconds in the end, that is not part of the podcast. It should be from the time you start talking to the time you end your speaking. So that's going to be really important to make sure you're hitting. Again, I will stress it one more time because this is the area that students tend to lose the most points for, making sure that you have a 1 minute introduction and then a 1 minute conclusion. When you are all done, I will ask that you upload that to Podbean. And this is where do I record at becomes really important. You can record directly on the audio on your phone or on your computer. I strongly encourage using Zoom for multiple reasons. One, the person doesn't have to be with you in the room, they could be anywhere. I've had people interview a parent who's on the other side of the world. I've had students interview their friends that are just across town, but they just couldn't find a time to meet up together. So it makes it easier. And Zoom will break your files down into an audio file and a video file. Podbean does not accept video files. It will only upload audio files. So it's really important to make sure that you do have an audio file. If you find yourself in a situation where it only recorded video, whatever platform you choose to record from, it's not the end of the world. Upload that video file, but it is just an audio-based project. There shouldn't be a video of you having your conversation with your interviewee. So you will upload that link here, and next week we will be doing some feedback. This will be our first project that we do feedback on. So you might get some feedback from your classmates, and this is due on Sunday. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I look forward to hearing what you guys decide to interview about. Have a great week, everybody.